Shut up, compressor. Hey everyone, Matt here with Duke's Models, and welcome to the Pony Bash. Hey everyone, Matt here with Duke's Models, and welcome to the second installment of the Pony Bash. In the first installment of the Pony Bash, I pushed the Meng and Airfix P-51s aside, so this installment is basically going to be focusing on the major construction elements of the Eduard P-51D-5. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these things. So I've got the fuselage pretty much ready to be closed up. We've got the tail bay insert installed, got the sidewalls installed, got all the ducting for the radiator exhaust installed, the backing plate for the exhaust manifold, and I've even installed the plates up front, which on the one I'm building were blanks. So this one, on this side, it was interesting. I actually had to come in here and shave off the sort of mounting lip in order to get everything to fit right. On the other side, everything fit just fine. So who knows? Yeah, these are basically here. The one little trouble spot that I ran into was with this little cap up here. When I was cutting these things out, I accidentally used this as leverage, and I'd already glued it in previously to help with alignment and everything, and it just kind of folded out because it didn't have much glue on it. It was basically just kind of tack welded into place. So overall though, this is going quite well. It's a very nicely detailed cockpit. I think it would be interesting if I wasn't trying to fly through this to spend a bit more time taking it even further than it is, but I mean, they've got a, this looks like a small version of the big Tamiya Mustang, honestly. Then we've got the cockpit, which again came together quite well. Aside from me dropping the seat and snapping the side braces and stuff. It's been weathered. It's been weathered fairly lightly. This was the one I'm doing was a relatively newish Mustang, and it's, the setting is like July 1944, so hadn't been in service that long and all that kind of stuff. And again, I'm trying to move fast, so I'm not bothering with chipping the seat or any of that kind of business. But it's pretty much ready to be installed. Then the install is actually greatly eased by removing, there's one little bit in here, I think, yeah, it was right here, a little cross piece that was just slightly interfering with the fit of the fuselage, or the canopy, of the cockpit floor into the fuselage. And once that was removed, everything else was just gravy. See, it just goes in like that and sits perfectly. There's also this stupid little piece that goes in the radiator intake right here, this photo etch piece that there's like nowhere to glue it to. It's kind of bullshit. But we'll make do. Alright, then to get these halves together, I've been finding it much easier to start on the alignment on the bottom side. You got a lot of elements in here that need to kind of come together. Once those come together, just making sure the cockpit fits in there. So yeah, everything fits up pretty nicely. My only real annoyance with this kit is this upper cowl portion. Not only is it, something that might have to be cleaned up, which I'm not looking forward to at all, the detail on it is just shit. Like, it's great here on the sides. I'll see if I can. So along the sides here, you can see that detail's great, right? And then as it goes up, it fades out real bad towards the center, and it gets this little like rough texture going on, which is complete and total bullshit. So and there was also a ridge right here that I had to go in and kind of scrape off on each side. Not a fan of that either. So there's a chance I may be coming in here and doing some scribing, which, fuck, I hate scribing. I really, as I go, I really wish that Edward had taken the same route as Tamiya and Airfix and Meng and made that top cowl a separate piece that could just be dropped into place, because fuck, this is tedious. Alright, now let's look at the wings. So the gear bay on this kit has been the subject of a ton of online discussion, and honestly, it's pretty great. I think the biggest issue is getting it all aligned and glued up and all that stuff. So basically you have a roof piece, you have the rear spar, you have this forward cross member thing going across the front line of the gear bay, then you've got this top piece that drops in. When you flip it over, you've got this center spar right here, and you've got the gear bays themselves and a bunch of little longitudinal inserts, right? So those just kind of glue into place. Everything fits well. I found the best way to get this thing glued up, though, was literally to get the pieces all nice and tight together and hold them against the mounting guidance inside of the wing and literally push the wing up against them and then glue it that way. That seemed to give me the best fit. And I've also left the front a little bit loose here so it's floating, which means that I can go in here and put pressure on it and not have to worry about it fouling everything up. Just for shits and giggles, I also went ahead and sanded down the leading edge just to prevent any chance of anything interfering, because, you know, yeah, it's fun to go in there and be all ballsy and be like, I didn't have to sand anything to get it to fit, but at the same time, when it comes time to close the wings, I don't want any factors to be off that could just completely fuck everything. So this way, it's just better safe than sorry. Now, one more thing before I shut up the wings and kind of show that. The nav lights and the wingtips here are a clear plastic piece, and Edward says to paint the inside, which looks really bad. So what I did is I painted the outside with, I believe this is Tamiya Clear Red, and then it's AK Real Colors green and yellow. And they look fantastic, nice vibrant colors. And then on the inside here, instead of painting it over with silver, I just grabbed a piece of Hasegawa film. This is their chrome or mirror finish, whatever, and just applied the adhesive side down. And sure enough, it looks nice and bright. And even when you cover it up, you know, it still has that good reflectivity going on. So, yay! Now, one funny story about these wings is when you first take them out of the box and you test fit them, the fit is really bad. They don't line up properly. It's all over the place. But then when you add the gear bay, they start to self-locate really well. So, yay on Edward for that. One fucking insects, man. Alright, then this other side, same shit happens, just on a different side. Gear bay provides a nice, good location. Okay, now before I move into the big test fit, what the fuck are these things doing here inside the gun inserts? Well, if you look at the gun inserts themselves, they're basically, you know, sort of a U-shaped dealie with the guns on the outside, right? And then they've got these 4 pins in here, and these pins are great because they keep this part from spreading too, you know, sort of spreading too wide of the wings. They'll hold it in place and prevent outward movement. However, there's nothing in them to prevent inward movement, right? So that means that when you first go to test fit these, unless you've lined up everything perfectly, and even if you have, to be honest, they seem to sit a little bit smaller than the wing. And so I've seen people put sprue, you know, bits of sprue in here to spread it. Okay, if you want to do that, I guess. I prefer this method just because it spreads the, you know, the application of force across multiple parts. So this one is preventing things from spreading too far. This one is preventing things from collapsing in. And so basically, when you go to slot this into place, the alignment is just automatic and everything fits perfectly. Just pretty cool. And honestly, it's one of those things that makes me wonder why Eduard didn't just do that to the wings in the first place. Would have made everybody's life a little bit easier, I think. So, those are the wings. To mount the wings to the fuselage, if you look back here, there's these little notches, and there are some notches back here just above the radiator scoop as well. They all kind of have to sort of agree they're going to go together. Do everything fits up nicely. And you kind of want to make sure that you're pushing the back of the wing down so that it seats onto that. And then when it does, everything fits up pretty well. And this is all without glue or any of that kind of shit, so it's just holding together on its own. As you can see, the one thing that I wish that this kit had, and I think what's causing me the most frustration and maybe consternation so far on this build, is I wish it had some sort of little locking mechanism up here for the wings into the fuselage and that wing root right there. Just some, you know, even like a little like hook or some sort of thing would just really help, because with the gear bay there and the cockpit there, like if you actually look in here, you can see the top of the gear bay poking right into the cockpit there, and that's invisible essentially once everything is installed. You know, the instrument panel and the rudders and stuff, you won't see that, but it is a little bit frustrating that there's no way to spread this fuselage out just a tiny little bit right in here to fight this seam battle. But I think basically going at it, you know, a little bit targeted, we can make it happen. Okay, so I think I've got the wing roots sorted, even though they're a massive pain in the ass. So the issue here is the way that the wings curve doesn't match the fuselage, and so when you're going to line it up, you know, if you get the front and back lined up, the center kind of sits low, and if you get the center lined up, the front sits high, and it's just kind of fucked up all over the place. So what I did to kind of help the wings round a bit is I took some packing foam like you would get in an Eduard or an Ares set, cut some off, and basically shoved it into the lower wing, basically where the fuel tanks are. So right under the cockpit and sort of under the fuselage with the lower wing already mounted, and those kind of pop up on either side, and they provide just enough pressure, upward pressure, to keep the wings where they need to go. And then I glued the wing roots, and so right now the only thing that's glued is the wing roots, the lower wing back here with the radiator latches, and the sides up here and sort of around the leading to the where it curves over into the front fillet. So I'm going to let that set for a while, and before I call it a night, I'm also going to go ahead and just drop these gun inserts in here just to make sure that they're not, that everything else isn't going astray around them, because this tape is holding the wings at a slightly weird angle compared to what they naturally rest at. and so this will kind of keep them from going too crazy. And yeah, I'm just going to let that set overnight and come back to it tomorrow.